Can you hear me now? Okay, can you hear me now? Why is there no audio? You are kidding me. Okay, now this is the audio through the phone. Okay, so now I'm gonna plug in my mic again. Do you hear me now? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, oh, phew. So let me ask you, oh my goodness. Let me ask you. You didn't hear my initial rant and rave? You didn't hear me initially saying how grateful I am that this is working out? I guess I spoke too soon. Did you hear any of that in the beginning? Did you hear me say hello to all of you? I can hear you. I can hear you. I can see. Sandy, no sound, no sound, no rant, no rave. You can't hear me. What's going on? What's going on? Why are you doing this to me? This is now the camera audio. I don't want to be on the camera audio. Hey, Michelle. Okay, this is the camera audio. I do not want to be on the camera audio. So I'm going to plug the mic back in. The mic is plugged in. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. Okay, Fernanda, thank you for that. Okay, so there was no sound from the start. Sandy can hear me? Robert can hear me. Okay. So my heart rate was just settling down. Now it's shot through the roof again. I need a tranquilizer. Get one from the elephant kind. Something that takes out an elephant. Okay, less loudness from the mic. Tara still can't hear me. All right, show of hands. Mic is plugged in. All lights are blue. Thank you, Sandy. I know I need to. All lights are blue. I've got my sound. My bar is going up and down. I've got my output. Okay, right. So, oh boy, I'm about to pass out. Sorry about that. Low budget production. Okay, let me just say to Tere. Tere, let me go to tell Tere something. Tere, if you click out of the live stream and come back in, it should work. And autocorrect is nasty. It should work. There we go. Hey, Kara. Thank you for your hand. Thank you, Josh Reepsummer, for being here. Right. My little rant and rave while I cut into the pot here. I'm going to try this first. I'm not trying to create unnecessary drama for the orchid, but we're going to try remove the pot while keeping the roots somewhat. We'll do our best. My rant and rave at the beginning was, it is so good to see people in here, and it is so good to see Julian in here, who was, well, the one and only at the time in the live stream last Sunday, and who could have very, very easily said, abort, 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 but no, stuck it through with me. And of course, I was at a loss. I felt devastated. Absolutely devastated. I felt devastated, dissed, anything DDD, that was me. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. And I couldn't wrap my head around what was going wrong. My mind went completely blank. I checked all my settings. But here we are today, and now I'm 5 minutes behind you. 5 minutes? I'm 5 minutes behind you. That's insane. Normally have a lag of 11 to 12 seconds. So I was very annoyed last weekend. More sad, I suppose, annoyed, frustrated and all that. But I want to say thank you so much to Julian for sticking with me, for being there, and just, you know, having my back, making me feel less foolish, if that was even possible. Oh my goodness. And even my screen. Anyway, I mentioned all that in my introduction. Even my screen was locked. I couldn't maneuver my screen. So at least I could download it, and I had to correct the orientation of the screen, otherwise it was in horizontal. Did you see it in horizontal, Julian? Tere? Oh dear, Tere is still having issues. Oh, I feel bad. Except at the video of the bottom of the playlist. Okay, how can I help Tere? Let me think. Let me think how I can help Tere. I don't want Tere to feel ignored. Let me just go here. Let me just write a message. Tere, I am not ignoring you. Trying to troubleshoot. You're kidding me. I don't even have the add feature on. You are kidding me. I opted out of any kind of ads. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming, Sandy. It's a good thing. It's an easy pot to cut. And we don't have any use for it at this point in time. So I just want to cut the lower layer off and see how we can tease the roots through. Looking good, looking good. Tere is still saying no. So you see, with the YouTube ads, I can, in my live stream, say no, or I can say yes, I want ads during my stream. And I purposely opted out because I find it a nuisance. And they do what they want anyway. So I do apologize for that as well. For anything that is out of my control, I apologize. So we just have one more root that's a bit of a snagger right in here. Let me see if I can, right in there. There's an in and out one. Let's see if we can salvage that. This is working better than I thought. So anyway, I said hi to Kara Anderson right at the start. Was so happy to see that somebody was in the house and that Julian isn't alone. Probably thinking I'm here doing some dubious stuff to get onto the patio alone with Julian. No offense, Julian, but that wasn't my intent. And then, of course, it was so nice to see the familiar faces, names, Sandy. And I said, obrigado, bienvenido. Portugal is in the house because there's Fernanda Nacimiento orchids and succulents. And I also said to everybody, whoop, don't drop your stuff here. I also said to everybody, thank you for taking your time on your Sunday to be here with me, be it morning, afternoon, early evening, late evening, whichever it may be. Thank you so, so much. And I'm sure more things will come to mind because I was going at it. Then my heart rate settled down and I thought we were good to go because my mic is on the top right side of my cap and I always have like my eyes going up towards the cap to see if the blue light is on because that means we are in business. That means my mic is connected to the receiver on the camera and I can see on the camera my gain or my volume is going up and down as I talk. And then my heart rate settled down because it looked like we were good to go. And then look at the chat. I'm like, what? No sound. How incredible. Anyway, like I said, live streams, aren't they fun? Tere is still saying no. It's good to see you. All is good. And then I see no, so I'm confused. I'm well confused. But as long as things are okay in the chat. Yes, I did. I did drop something, but I got to it first, Sandy. I dropped the plastic that I had cut off. I got to it first. So what I'm going to do is just clean my hands off and get you in a little bit closer. Now that we are in this intimate environment, let's get you in a little bit closer. Let's not be shy about things. I'm just going to put my pot and cuttings away. And I'm going to wash my hands because doing this with electronics, as we well know now, how things could change rapidly. You think you're good to go. Right. Cables are all still plugged in. I need you a little bit lower. Okay, it's going to get a bit wobbly. And bring you down to my level here. There we go. I mean, I do like my giraffes, but craning my neck gives me a kink and then a headache, and we don't want that. Comme ça. All right, if I can keep that in mind and not fiddle around too much with the angles, we should be good to go. Okay, Tere, are you trolling me with your nose now? A night of Avatar movies. That's fun. That is awesome. My daughter went to see The Little Mermaid the other day, and she sent me a quick video from within the cinema. And I was like, what? Because I had no idea she was going to the movies. I just thought, what, you going swimming? I knew what she was showing me, but it was still, hello. Very, very, very nice. I got a little bit of a clip. Things you can do these days. Turns out when she came home, she almost filmed the whole movie in clips. Pretty much she filmed my favorite parts of the movie and showed me. I don't know if you're into Disney movies, but there's something about The Little Mermaid I thoroughly enjoy. His name is Sebastian. The crab. Okay, King, you need to... Yes, I blocked you off. Menaki. All right, don't do this to me now. The crab and the frogs. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, you know, when you got to kiss the girl. So she filmed some of the good parts. Tere, what do you mean no? Tere, can you please tell me no? What does that mean? Please. What are you saying no to? Help me out. Help me out. No to what I'm doing, no to what I'm saying. Please don't sing. Could be a no as well. I fully understand that. But help me out so I know how I can respond and what I need to do. So the roots don't look too shabby, actually. Yes, I want to get into that sponge in there, but I'm working my way from outside to inside. And you're probably wondering, why is she being so careful? Those leaves look shot anyway. Well, I thought I was careful. And you can see, maybe, you can see the line here. Let me show you that line right there. Yeah, that's me. And when I brushed across the leaf like this, I went across it with my nail. So I'm being quite careful with anything that's coming out new. Don't want to give this orchid the feeling that she's not welcome here. We've made it to 10 months. It'd be nice to get the 1-year anniversary done. So, coffee is needed with Robert. Anybody else got anything else going on today, beverage-wise? Any questions? I am missing Carmen. Carmen was already leaving a chat yesterday, which was also a relief because that meant some were getting notifications. Something else I noticed as well about these notifications, because trust me, I've been watching. Because if there's anything I can do to change things, then of course I'm going to learn as I go. But I've noticed that an Android device will get a notification, whereas an iOS device will not. Unless you go into the live stream itself on the channel homepage and click notify me. But you won't just get a notification out of the blue just because you're subscribed. And that is on iOS. It's the weirdest thing ever. I think Google and Apple just don't like each other. Certain things you can't do with Apple that you can do on an Android device when it comes to giving links out and all that fun stuff. Grading papers, Kara, on a Sunday. You are a wonderful person. Your job never ends. I don't want to say or ask what grade you are grading, but I remember my teachers, well, I probably owe them a big apology. Once upon a time. And in some cases, they owe me a big apology. Okay, so I just chopped off a root there, and I don't know if I can find the piece. Oh, it was dead. I hope that's in focus. See, I saw that, and I just cut it. It was still green. Oh, well. So just as well that we took the time to cut the pot off. Now, I'm not particularly interested in removing all the dead roots. I mean, I can fuss with an orchid root system for days, but, you know, that'll give me satisfaction, but it doesn't really do the root system that much good if you mess around with it. Of course, I want to get the majority of it out, and I want to get at that sponge thing, because yes, I do want that out by now. It's been there long enough. It's served its purpose. Whatever roots are, whoops, we did do some damage here. Okay, we'll cut that off because that dangling thing is distracting. There we go. Whatever we've got going on as more active root growth begins is going to be perfectly fine. So if the roots in the middle here die, because they're going to go into Leca, and large Leca for that matter, then so be it. I'm not worried. They have done their job from when the orchid was a baby. So here we go. We're getting that out. Some are dead. Some are comme ci, comme ça. Half and half. We'll take that out. We'll take the dead bits out as well. I hope my hand is not completely blocking the view. This is all not on the fly as much anymore, but at least we're in our groove. You're planting tomatoes? Noms. Yum, yum, yum. Are you planting a specific variety or a whole bunch of them? I love tomatoes when they come out of your own garden. To have them, when you harvest them, they're warm. Although I do like my tomato salad or anything like that, or my gazpacho ice cold. But to harvest tomatoes and they're still warm from the ambient air, ooh, and then they smell, they're so fragrant. Nothing beats that. And then I used to poke holes into the tomatoes with a little spiky, like any kind of a spike, poke holes into them and dunk them into a glass jar that has a lid on it full of vodka. A laurel leaf. Just for a couple of hours. You don't want to nuke the things. But then you take them out and you make them into little cocktail balls with a little bit of like salt on the side. spiced salt, or let's say perfumed salt, flavored salt. Sorry, that was king. And then you just dip those tomatoes soaked in vodka into a little bit of salt, and you've got yourself an edible Bloody Mary. Works. It's a wonderful canapé to start off the pate, get the mood going, because they're just nibbles. Yeah, they're high octane nibbles. Tasted good though. And little cherry tomatoes is what I did that with. Good stuff. Sorry, Robert, I can't do anything about that. This is what they do as well with channels that aren't monetized. They will play ads in front of the videos even though the channel is not monetized. So if I opt out of the option, I'm sorry for that. I am so sorry. But I appreciate the feedback, Robert. I really do. I think they're becoming more aggressive in what they want to earn as income, because I think they're losing people to Rumble and those kinds of platforms because of freedom of speech. And they have now changed their statutes, their terms of service to, let's say, certain things are not acceptable, but all the videos and the content that was taken down back in the 2020 elections in the United States, all that content is back up because people were feeling that their voices were being drowned out. So people have moved to Rumble and they're feeling it in their pockets. It's the second month in a row that YouTube is losing ad revenue as a whole. While they have been the Goliath of the industry for so long, I think they recognize that they can't keep up if they continue along these lines. So now I guess all the ads that are coming in, I think that's also part of their thing of playing catch up so that their numbers don't change because they don't want to lose their shareholders. That is my explanation based on what I'm looking into when it comes to trying to get YouTube's attention to recognize my channel and get it out of whatever nonsense it is in. It's in a funk. It's in an absolute funk. Oh, and I got an update, just side note, I got an update for the legal requirements from Instagram, and it said they had to update their legal terms of service according to the European Union. And I'm like, okay, I saved that. I made a screenshot because I don't understand the lingo. But again, it doesn't say a general update of terms of service. No, specifically for the new EU regulations of 2023 or something like that. So we are really, really being singled out. And I don't want to bore you with all this trivia, but I'm trying to explain that while I need the income, I did not put the ads there. So in a roundabout way, that is my, I'm trying to, you know, say it wasn't me. And I'm so sorry. I can only plant short season tomatoes, cherry, early girl, and something else. My sweet peas and corn have finally come up. Okay, that's great. Now I'm glad to hear that the corn has come up because that's got to have some major growing to do. So I'm just picking away now at what I can still see without using my hands. Because pretty much, if I want to keep the bark on that we can still see that is all nestled in this network right here, it's going to stay. But anything around the base here, yeah, I'm not too keen on that. So if you've been following my channel and the repots, you know that I consider every repot of an orchid a transition. Yes, we're going into inorganic media, and the word transition is always associated with changing, you know, organic to inorganic. That is not the case. Changing media is a transition. If we can just keep that in mind, we will be less radical when it comes to new root growth. We'll be a bit more patient waiting for new root growth. If we just remember, the transition is a transition. It's a change of media. It doesn't matter what type of media. If I were to put this on a mount right now, it's a transition. So I don't want to say anything that would, let's say, disqualify any other information, but it is really, really important to wait for active growth. We might be in the early stages yet. We only have one root tip here. We only have one root tip here. It's on a branch. You can see how dangly that is. If that doesn't break off before the repot, then I'm leaving it on. But these 2 points are only the start of what I hope will be the root growth of the season. And I really want that piece of bark off because it's weighing down that weak connection there. But I don't want it off. Thank you. Thank you. That was easy. I was going to say I don't want it off at the cost of the root. And we can still peel away a little bit in here. Have you ever tried yellow tomatoes? I love yellow tomatoes. I absolutely love yellow tomatoes. Fantastic. They are much sweeter. Oh, and yesterday, you guys, I'm watching a series. It just popped up because I was watching somebody else. So the algorithm is working for some channels, the ones that get hundreds and thousands of views, but not for mine. But anyway, I was watching, I came across a thing that talks about, because I love engineering. You may not know, you may know, I studied architecture, mainly for homes, private homes, la-di-da, but you know, if you were to branch out, if you studied architecture, you can go into all sorts of fun stuff. Anyway, so I watched this because I couldn't sleep last night. I wasn't watching Avatar. I watched an engineering of the new Kenya Railway. If you remember my stories about going to Nairobi from Mombasa, blah-de-blah, in one of my repotting videos, very early days, the Mombasa-Nairobi train, oh my goodness, have they upgraded that. It is the bomb. And I'm like, dang. And of course, while they were doing all the introductions, I was thinking, yeah, that's the Chinese. And sure enough, eventually, you got this Chinese and then subtitles. But, am I impressed with what they did? But not just what they did, because we know Chinese are awesome in construction, and they are very, very proliferous and really dominating the African continent with what they're doing, with the workforce and what they're investing. But they were taking everything. It was them as, let's say, the head of a section of the railway, but everybody else was Kenyan. So they made a very conscious effort to bring in engineers that were just fresh out of school, ladies, you know, young girls as in just out of university. And you heard the story of the different job descriptions that they had to do. You heard that the Chinese guy, for example, the supervisor, the manager of that section of railway, said that she's very inexperienced, she's got a lot to learn, but that's what we're here for. It was amazing. They went to all the villages that they were going to be cutting through. They had community meetings, showing them plans of the construction, going through the entire process. They listened to the head, like the chiefs of the villages, and what they didn't like about a certain thing. So they didn't just plow through the Kenyan countryside and said, this is it, deal with it. And they changed plans accordingly. If it took $2 million more to get a project done, they changed that to get it done. And of course, they learned from how to get nature to continue traversing, because they're going through one of the biggest national parks as well. And they took it from the nature bridges from Germany, and there was one in France or something like that. So they went to the conservationists and talked to them about everything. It was wonderful. I'm getting goosebumps again. I mean, the first episode is like 30, 40 minutes. There's more to come. There's more to come. They started this project in 2014, and I was totally oblivious to it. It was wonderful to watch of course, I'm thinking, ah, look at that scar in the countryside. But when the trackers then came to see if the animals were actually using what they had built and, going around the pillars or the tunnels, if a bridge was not being put where it was, they were all so excited. They could see the lion paws. They could see dik-dik paws. They could see elephant paws coming up to the structure, but not yet going through. And then they set up a camera, and then they showed a very hesitant zebra coming up and then zooming underneath the bridge like, oh, I don't know what this is, but I need to go there. It was awesome. It was so, so nice. So I will probably be indulging my senses again and see how they built the train stations, etc., etc. It's so cool to see them under the thorn trees having their community meetings, the Chinese guy speaking Chinese, the Kenyan guy doing the translating, and the Kenyan guy was in China, working there, studying there for 8 years in Wuhan province. I wouldn't be able to repeat that if something hadn't happened that we all know about. Oh, you guys, it was so, so nice. And I thought, well, let me see how much are they going to be cutting away. So the original travel time that I quoted in my video was 12 or 13 hours. I'm going to correct that now. It was 10. So Mombasa, Nairobi, 10 hours. They're cutting that travel time down to 4. Isn't that wonderful? Ah, I just love it. Sorry, just had my little geek out moment there. I hope you don't mind. Has nothing to do with orchids. But if you were here on the patio with me, I would say, oh, look at this. What have you been up to? So that was my avatar, Robert. Most of your orchids are foul, so at least we're on the right page here. In the Balkans as well, they are very, very aggressive in their construction, but also all over Kenya. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But I had a very, let's say, biased impression of the Chinese when I heard, oh, I'm going to have to check if I put water droplets on the lens. Hang on a second. I had a very biased impression, and I'm ashamed of that. Very ashamed of that, because you think immediately something dubious is going to go on, and exploitation and I don't know what. So that was absolutely wrong of me. When I was watching this, I was still, excuse me for rubbing your face, but I just saw that there was a speck of dirt on your cheek. But yeah, my opinion was super biased, and I felt bad. I felt really, really bad. So I regret having had that impression. I was proven utterly wrong. Even the conservationists, they were so happy. They were super concerned right out of the gate. It was just, and then afterwards you should see how excited they were. One guy with his Land Rover going up the tracks on one side, and the other guy's on the other side of the tracks waving him down, excited. Whoa, 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 stop, stop. And then they meet up and look at this and look at this and look at this. So it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, anyway, that's me. I still have been digging into my artificial intelligence research as well. I'm not talking chat GPT, but that's not my reference there. I'm still trying to figure out how things are going to change. Super interested about that as well, because that's also a form of architecture. But I got bored with it very quickly. Now that I've figured out the construction side of things, of how they do the software and how it all works, let's say from a layman's point of view, of course, how the neurons connect, how the neurons learn. Yeah, let the programmers do their thing, and then, see if the politicians will catch up and put some legislation on there. So I'm back to my on-land engineering. It was fun. I was thinking, should I link this in the community page, or will people just think, nah, come on, Nina, you're going a bit too far. This has nothing to do with the channel, but I just thought I'd mention it now because it's fresh in my head. And it gives me something to talk about, because I don't see... Hey, Carmen! Ciao, Bella! Don't be sorry, we're here, city bus, in and out, you know how it is. time permitting. At least we're here. We had some sound issues. You mentioned all of that. You missed all the technical. This time it was the sound. I was talking to myself. I was showing things into the camera, pointing things out. I was doing a silent movie, so you missed all of that. And because I'm babbling and just chatting away with everybody, seeing if there are any questions that I can address, I was just talking about things that really had nothing to do with orchid care. Wow, this orchid was soaking for 2 hours before the stream. And there's a bit of the plug right at the top that's still dry. That's cool. Let me make sure that you can still... Right here, it's still bone dry. Huh. That's unexpected. Or maybe it's cocoa chip remains. I don't know. It's right in the center here, where the plug normally would be. Let's check this out. Oh, no. It has an appearance of dryness. Right, it's wet. Okay. Now we have a little bit here. Okay, it's cracking me up. Tere's saying no. I'm gonna register that you do that so that I don't freak out in future live streams if you are able to make it. I'm just gonna say that's what Tere does. He says no. So we've got this thing here. It's nasty up here, but it's green over there. It's going all the way down and around there. I think we can leave that. Anybody that does water culture would probably think, keep going, keep going. I know that Fernanda grows her phals beautifully in water culture. I wouldn't have, oh, goodness me, the workload. I am impressed. Even Danielle's Orchid Ranch. Wow. She is amazing. I don't know how Fernanda feels about this, but or what your opinion is if you're still here, but I have to say that for me, Danielle's Orchid Ranch is the go-to channel for anything orchid related in water culture. That I know of. That I know of. So, but I even her method of rescuing orchids, I was lucky with this one because we had some viable roots. Danielle has rescued orchids that had no roots. While I try to follow her instructions, it leaves much to be desired. So this is really wobbly down here. This thing, it's annoying me. So wherever that is, it's coming off. I don't like it. Maybe it's already come off. That's why it's wobbly. Ta-da! It was already cut off somewhere. Yes, engineer to doctor, that's right. It's good to see you, Carmen. Thank you so much. Carmen's Orchids is one day going to start showing her collection in short videos. So this is Carmen from Italy, who's always been here with the other live streams, has just changed her name to Carmen's Orchids, and when I saw that, I was suspicious. So we welcomed Carmen's Orchids. And then she said, yes, I am that person. I just changed my name. I'm like, that's good. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move the camera away just a tad because I'm going to be spraying down the center. It's nice, warm and breezy, even though it's late in the day. But I'm going to get in there. I'm not going to worry about the crown, the leaf joints, anything like that. That spongy nonsense for me now has to go. If it's attached to the velamen a little bit lower down on the root, I don't care that much. I want it away from the center. That can stay on. What have we got here? That can stay on. That's not coming off either. I think we're done with the fiddle. And then she continues and keeps going. Listen, you're done. You're done. I know I had a train of thought somewhere, speaking of trains, and I think I just lost it. So If I need to circle back on that, remind me. You don't feel that waterculture is a workload? I think it's great. I think that that is an awesome perspective, because I always thought that is a lot of work. Cleaning the jars, everything like that. At least to me it sounds like a lot of work, but if it's not, I'm still hesitant to try it because I suck. I'm so happy that my phals are starting to be okay in Leca. I don't want to mess around with waterculture. But I have 2 rescues from my purple gem I eat and my Phalaenopsis. I am so scared to pot them up, but I think they're going to go into lava rock just to be on the safe side. Because, yeah, scale almost took them out. I don't know if you remember, if you've been with my channel long enough, back in the day, I really had scale problems and I thought I was getting stem rot, and that's why I was losing my phals, but it was scale. And I couldn't see them tucked into the leaf joints. That was before garlic alcohol. So, yeah, no bueno. And my purple gem Aida suffered the same fate. She's doing well. Since then, she is still in the hob filter setup, rescue setup, and it's been, I think, we're coming on to 3 years now. She's doing fine. The 2 pieces are growing great. I just need to get her into a setup where I'm going to say, I'm not going to lose it. So that would be me, not her. Okay, let me see what Fernanda just said. I have to approve comments. Thank you very much. Thank you. Buenas tardes, José Pérez, desde Valladolid. Bienvenido al patio en la Costa del Sol, donde hace un poco de viento, pero por lo menos no hace frío. And that was a comment way up there. Thank you for whoever already approved. And the comments are going bonkers. Okay, right. We are going to do the usual. First of all, I'm going to take my little strap here away. That was from an orchid that didn't make it back in the day. I'm going to put the stake where we want it, and then we're going to initially see where we want the orchid. And even if I don't, oh, careful of that leaf, Nina. So even if I don't want to put Leca in at the bottom, which I'm not going to do because she looks to be in great, that level, I like it. I like that. So no Leca at the base, but we are going to measure where we want the wire. Right there. AMC in the house. Oh no, AMC on the patio. It's good to see you. We'll leave the house thing out. I'm not in the house. I'm happy to be outside. Very happy to be outside. Stop saying in the house. On the patio. Welcome. So the last comment I'm seeing is from Robert with the zebra and the elephants. And now I'm seeing the chat is skipping. It's a start-stop thing. So if you're out there, I can't even see Fernanda's comment. I see her name. I do not see the text. Sorry about that. I can see as much as when we feel comfortable with. That's it. Everything else is gone. I saw hearts. Thank you so much. Isn't that cute, the little interactive thing there? I love it. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Let's check the leaves. Which ones do we want? I want to... Wait, I've got an old spike here. Do I want to use the old spike? It's pretty tough. It's dried out quite a while ago. Wow, that's tough as nails. I think we'll use that instead of going around the stem. Let's do that. It's easier. Why complicate things? So Fernanda, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see the remainder of your comment. And that's not you. Okay, that's not you. That's also something that's going on With the YouTube, I've heard other creators. I was watching a lawyer yesterday. He was doing a rundown of a trial, an up-and-coming trial of a crime that I've been following since it broke in early days. And his chat was glitching. It was bouncing around. I mean, he had 4,000 people in his chat. But I guess it doesn't matter how many people you have in your chat. YouTube has some issues. So if anybody is writing and I'm just like babbling away, know that I'm doing the chameleon thing. I'm looking right while I'm fiddling here. So I don't see any more comments coming through. Just 1 second. We're just going to get this one a little bit less haphazard looking. Are you going to go up and down? Okay, we're going to have to squeeze you into place. Like that. Comme ça. I'll get you taken care of. Oh, by the way, yes, I'm going to toot my own little horn here. Maybe you guys thought it was ugly, but it took me hours to make. My video today of the Osteocladus spathulifera. You see my little snake? If you watch the video, have you seen that little snake? Do you know, I made that snake using the patterning of a leaf that I took out of an image, and then I built the snake with bits and pieces of the leaf cut with the shades. The front body of the snake that you see of the cartoon image that is in that video is the back of the Osteocladus leaf. I was so proud of myself. It took me about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of my time. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why do you have to always stand in your own way? I went to bed, I think it was 1:30 or 2 o'clock this morning, and then I still couldn't sleep. But I wanted that snake in there. Ah, thank you, Fernanda. You see here on the screen back here, it's, I can see you. I just saw that comment come through. It is so cute. I was thinking, should I get it animated and stuff? And I may work on that on, some other time to get it to move a little bit. But, yeah, I was proud of myself. I saw the leaf and I thought, surely I can do something. Surely. Yeah. Anyway, tooting my own horn here. How primitive. So we're going to fill her up. Ooh, that's a lot of debris in there. And we have a working RO system. Me no likey. If I can avoid, I will avoid. I can see your comments coming through, Carmen. Let me just get this done. But of course, can you sift through the hole there, please? That would be lovely. Just out of the hole. Just drain. Thank you, thank you. Anybody else? And now I've got the steak at the bottom. Okay. My favorite Benjamini ficus gets that water. And we're going to do that whole thing again, but I'm not going to repeat until I'm debris free. There we go. And Gloriosa lily update over there in Portugal. Not quite, not quite. Mine are now bursting into bloom. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blooms at the moment. Okay, as per usual, we are putting water in because it is a nightmare with a beautiful existing root system like that to get leca everywhere where it should go. Because it's large leca, I'm not even guaranteed that it's going to float into all the nooks and crannies because that's quite a tight network down there. But as I said in the beginning, I'm not too concerned with any of the roots in the center now dying off. They've done their job. Motorbicycle. Okay, so I've got my leca in water. I want to drain that, not necessarily into here. So Some of that is going to go into the next Benjamini ficus that is on the patio. There we go. I don't want anybody complaining that I'm not being fair. All right, and if I drop a bead, I have to bend down and get it, and hopefully not pass out in pain while doing so. That would be a good thing, but my daughter is home. If she doesn't hear me tell her, be safe when she leaves the property, she's probably going to come looking for me. My mom didn't say anything. Is she all right? And here I am passed out on a live stream with a half-finished Phalaenopsis. Now I want to be careful with that root tip there. Didn't like the way the Leca flowed towards it. It would be nice to maintain that root tip. And we're going to go pole pole sana, seeing as we did approach and address the African part of my life. Pole pole sana meaning very slowly. And it also means, oh, I'm so sorry. Like if somebody's hurt themselves, like we used to say that, or the nanny used to tell us, oh, pole pole sana, if we had a bruise, a scratch, an abrasion, or anything of the sorts. Same thing. Oh, I'm sorry, pole pole, it's going to be okay. And it also means very, very slowly. And now I wonder if the Mombasa train, we used to call it Chongolulu train, because it was a black beast with the red wheels. And it's like the millipede, the black millipede with the red legs. I don't know what that creature is actually called, the scientific name. I just know it as a chongolulu in Kenya. It rolls up like a little Danish pastry, but it's black and all the red legs are in the middle. And it smells bad when it's angry at you. It exudes this horrible, horrible stuff that smells very acidic. So we used to call our train, the Mombasa-Nairobi train, Chongolulu, after that creature, that insect. And now I wonder what they're going to call it. They have this extremely long technical name. I just didn't even remember, but I guess maybe the locals will, in the next episodes, will have already christened it with something. Let's just say cheetah railways. Something like that. The fastest cat in the world. Or maybe ostrich railways. You never know. If they go with a cheetah, that'd be awesome. It would make sense, wouldn't it? Lots of cheetahs. Okay. Oh, by the way, it also reminded me of the book that I read as a child about how the railway was built. The original one. Dang. Movies were made out of that as well. Man-Eater and everything like that. All of these flashbacks came back last night. I shouldn't be looking at such, let's say, mentally stimulating material while I'm trying to sleep, because then my mind was going, then this, and then this, and then this. How many people actually passed away? How many people were grabbed out of their cabins by lions? Oh, true story, though. And it was done in conjunction with the British as well. I don't know if the Portuguese were involved, but the Portuguese were extremely involved in the history of Kenya, especially Mombasa. And I also remembered yesterday, I found out that Vasco da Gama first came to Mombasa in 1498. My Portuguese friends might appreciate that. So, slowly filling up. Right here, still got that root to be mindful of, but we can be, let's give her a tap. You see, I don't have to hold her anymore. She is in place, using the old spike with a stake. I don't have to worry about her going anywhere. This is wonderful. Sorpresa continues to surprise. All right. Let's keep that same energy, bit by bit. I'm looking over to the comments. I can see hearts. I still see a zebra and a lion and an elephant. And now I see Carmen's orchids. Yeah, the effort on the snake, I know. Probably an 8th grade project for some of the more tech savvy out there. They would say, yeah, that would probably get a C if you were in 8th grade computer science. I'll take it. I'll take it, because back in those days when I was 17, 18, the high school at the Rift Valley, we finally got a computer room and I was lost. They were trying to train us on like coding. And I looked at the thing and I said, what? I didn't know back then I was dyslexic. And dang, did I dread that class. I had no idea. I had no idea what the guy was talking about at the front. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. Who'd have thought that, you know, the architecture thing would then change a few things. And eventually, when I read the German dictionary, the new and revised German dictionary in 1992, to polish up and brush up on my German, spelling, etc., because we had a language reform in Germany. And that kicked into place, I think it was 1993 or 94, with spelling and all of that business. They came out with this new dictionary. I bought myself a volume. I couldn't really afford it, but I thought, oh, I need this. And I read it like a novel from beginning to end. And I was fascinated. I know, people are probably now thinking, yeah, who is this person? I was fascinated. A is for Anfang, you know, stuff like that. And reading all the red highlighted things about what's changed, what's not going to change. Has a name, it's called pulsation, Sandy. So everything that changed in the German language was highlighted in red. And I read all of that with the comparisons to what we knew or should have done before, and then now the modernization of the language. And all of a sudden there were a few words that had like 3 Fs all in a row. What's this? It looks really, really silly, but they changed it to do that. Okay. Some languages have 3 E's in a row with an umlaut. So anything goes, I guess. But I know my dad was super proud of me when I wrote him once. I wrote him a letter. My dad was always questioning German skills because we didn't speak German in Kenya. Let's just say I refused to speak German in Kenya because my mom would insist that she would not respond to me unless I spoke German. I couldn't speak German in Kenya. Nobody was speaking German to me, and my mom was talking to me. She was always shouting, so I stopped listening because I didn't like to be shouted at. So I grew up a very quiet child, except when I was at school. No, I grew up as a very quiet child because I thought, dang, I don't know how to say what I want to say in German. So I had some catching up to do very, very quickly when I went and did my business school. Okay, so here we go. I'm just filling up, entertaining you with white noise. I have a huge gap in here, but I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to fuss with it. Whatever falls in will fall in. I'm not going to fish out smaller Leca. This orchid has been through so much. She's pretty vigorous. She doesn't need all the fandangle with all the other orchids. I don't see her being the diva that some of my other phals are. So there we go. Oh, speaking of phals, yes, there was a train of thought. Choo-choo, we're back to the train. On Friday, this coming Friday, my time, same time as this live started, I'm going live together with Trisha's Orchid Life. That's one thing we are going to have. Please do not, oh, I can't do that. Hang on a second. I can't put her down because of the stake. Please do not be confused that YouTube is making a mistake if you see a live stream for Friday, the 16th of June. That is intentional. So we're still going to go live on Sunday, but in order for Trisha's Orchid Life to be here, we are going to go live. And speaking of phals, we are going to talk about rescuing Phalaenopsis. Let's put it this way. Let me qualify that. She is going to talk about rescuing Phalaenopsis. And that's when we will update on Insolence, the OG, the original one, and see how she's doing. Okay, so just in case you see that, Don't ignore it. If you've got time on Friday the 16th, same time, same place, I'll be on my patio. Trish will be with her collection, and we're going to go live together. And hopefully get it right from jump. And here we are avec pulsation, aka sorpresa, aka potted up, ready to go, ready to grow. What are we going to put in here? She's had a major soak of that fertilizer, which probably got lost in my silent movie episode right at the beginning. She was soaked in 550 approximately parts per million. And I thought, you know what? We're going to get her off to a great start. So Hey, Rayanne is in the house. It's good on the patio. It's good to see you. So if that was all part and parcel of what was lost at the beginning, she has been soaked for 2 hours prior to the repot. She was soaked in a lot of fertilizer. But I am upping all my big Phalaenopsis orchids. I'm giving them a lot more fertilizer. They're all going in at around 500. But it was more, today the concentration was based on Cousin It and the Angrecoids and Chao Praia. And you guys, even if you see this in a video, this was cartwheels around the patio 2 days ago. I just haven't had time to do either a short video or something. She's got roots above the highest crack. Yes, we are in business with the big Chao Praia. 2 roots are coming out on the opposite side above the highest crack of that Vanda. And that means maybe in a year or 2, we're going to cap her off and she'll be her own orchid once again. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? I've been waiting for this for so long. Well, since she cracked for the 2nd time. And now she is independently up there growing 2 roots. And they are beautiful. Of course, now the temperatures have warmed up. We may not lose the roots, but they may stop growing. But all the signs are there, which is fabulous. Anyway, back to the fertilization. She was soaked for 2 hours. Not because 2 hours makes any difference. It's just when I started preparing my table here, I had 2 hours to go. So that was not strategic. 30 minutes would have sufficed. And we're going to give the bletillas a little bit of this. There we go. Bletillas have been served. Again today, by the way. That would be a 2nd load of juice for the bletillas. I'm going to take a sip of my juice. Just one moment, please. I'm going to mute now. And I hope we're back. I don't think you need to hear me glug, 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 glug. There she is. Let me just check and see that I am in actual fact back. Make that 100%. This is the weirdest thing ever. Why is everything... Oh my goodness, what a mess. Not you guys, but the chat. Let me go get you. So many nice things happening at the moment. Let me go to my blooming alley because she's worth it. Oh, let me see if you can hear this. Oh, because she's worth it. She is so worth it. She was worth the wait. She's so pretty and she is so fragrant. Yes, we got a fragrance on this gorgeous Catleantha White Bridal Snow White first time bloomer. Look at that. And that stupid ant photobombing my beautiful blooms. She smells of gardenias with a note of Dama de Noche. And you know who identified that fragrance for me? My daughter. I was standing in front of this orchid. I was trying to get a sniff of her and I know the fragrance. I'm like going, come on, rack your brain. You know that fragrance. I walk away. come back. Not that it was an issue. It was a pleasure to come back to her, but walk away, come back, close your eyes. Think, 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 woman. And I thought, never mind. I'm forcing it. I don't want to, you know how you say, artificially create a fragrance in my mind just to get it. And then one day I just said to my daughter, do you have 2 minutes? She goes, sure. I said, smell that. Please tell me what bloom. What are you smelling? And then she said, a place. She says, a place where we used to go a lot. And I said, yes, it reminds me of the place, but what was blooming there? What was blooming there? There was something. So we went through, because initially in my head, I thought it's like an ambient, you know, a diffuser, a room diffuser, or a perfume smelly thing that you have. But I couldn't pinpoint it. And then she goes, it's a white bloom. She says, jasmine. I said, no, it's not jasmine. She says, but it's a white bloom. It's a big white bloom. I said, yes, and it's not a rose. So don't go there. So she was starting to picture, she was putting a picture together of what I was seeing in my head, but I couldn't describe. And she went to the Google and then she said, gardenia? Yes! Because I said, it's a big white bloom that has very dark, glossy foliage, but it's not the kind of jasmine that, you know, it's a showy bloom that looks like a rose, blah, blah, blah. She goes, gardenia. And I said, yes. And she says, but Mom, I also smell dama de noche. And I went, yes, you're right. My daughter, she figured it out. She drew the conclusions for me. There's a lot of ants here. There's a lot of happy sap. Oh my goodness, you guys, I am so happy. I was not expecting a fragrance this time around. So happy to have the blooms. So pretty, so elegant, so pure and pleasing and calming to the eye. Ah, I know. Who's having connection issues? I hope you're okay. I hope it's not me, but I also hope it's not you. You are going to come here and you're going to sit down. You be a good boy. And you stay. Good boy. Right. Let me scroll up because there's a huge mess going on in my chat. I've got comments overlapping right after Jose Perez. Then I see Fernanda Nacimiento, orchids and succulents. When we feel comfortable with the setup, we do not feel it as a workload. True words spoken right there. Absolutely yes. Because when I talk about the flushing and this and that of the Semihydro setups, like I will have to do with this one now, is she still in shot or did the white bridle take over? Like with Sorpresa now. Yes, there's going to be a lot of flushing and it sounds like a lot of work. And you're right, Fernanda, I don't see it as such. But I can understand if people were to say, that sounds like a lot of work. I get it. I hear you. Absolutely right. Okay, let me just wipe that pot. It looks nasty. Next. Nina, I feel like my Phalaenopsis is dying. It was in Semihydro, but losing leaves. Left it for a month, but started to yellow again, so I repotted in moss. I don't know what's wrong. He got 3 leaves left, 2 yellowing. All right. There's a lot going on there. I have a lot of questions for you, Carmen. Here's the thing. When the orchid went into Semihydro, was she actively growing new roots? If the answer is no, then probably the root system is dead and the orchid is on her way out. I hate to say it like that, but I'm going to look at your next comment before I go down that road because maybe there's an update. Hang on a second. I'm tilted. I hope I'm not tilted. I hope this was all nicely horizontal. Let's go back up. You got your RO system. I do recommend just spraying the orchids. Wait just 1 second. We'll get to that. And this is where I cannot see anymore because all the comments are scrunched up one over the other. So I can't read the next comment from Carmen. Thank you about my snake. I appreciate that. Something rode me there and I went with it. And then Carmen says, I got my RO system. Do you recommend just spraying the orchids or put in tiny amount of water? You use your RO system. You use that water for watering your orchids. Oh, what a mess. I'm a mess. Excuse me if you can see how blotchy the pants I am that I'm wearing are. There's a lot of water and everything, doesn't look too smart. So your RO water is your water for all watering needs for your orchids, not just misting. You water them, you put your fertilizer in there, everything is RO water, just like you would have done with your tap water before. Now you're using RO water. You don't have to soak unless it's an orchid that needs a soak because of a deficiency. Or if you want to get the root a nice, let's say you want a blitz soak and you don't have a deficiency, but you want to give them an Epsom salt soak or anything like that, CalMag soak, then you can soak them orchids and then you can do all that with RO water. Actually, it's preferable that I'm seeing my rag in the shot. That's not nice. I've got my beautiful Catleantha right there in viewfinder, and I'm leaving a rag in the background. Okay. Sandy, it was wonderful. If you are going to watch back, thank you so much for being here. I am sorry that I was in the middle of my monologue and I didn't see your comment. I appreciate that you were here. And I'm sorry that your son and daughter-in-law are here and getting ready to leave back home. I'm sorry. I hope you had a wonderful visit with them. No, you don't have to ever be quiet. The more comments, the better. At least I can scroll back and go back to them. And Rayanne said, oh, you just received some rescue files. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm happy to, you're going to love the progress as you revive them. This suppressor of mine looks all mangled and beat up. She reminds me of my orchids in Kenya. They look just like this. Sunburnt leaves, brown leaves, snapped leaves, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yes, I giggle and smile because I'm so annoyed when I burn a leaf here. But then I think back of how it all began. And suppressor reminds me that's exactly how it all began. I'm glad that you heard about the live stream on Friday, Sandy. That is awesome. It's good that you're going to be around. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, my Batman in the wings there, looking snazzy in her new pot. Now, I am tilted. This has had me concerned, and I hope that I was not tilted and that the screen stayed nice and straight the way it should be and not this weirdo thing going on like last week. Yes, pure white Cattleya, in my opinion, is a must. And I love the green points right at the end of the sepals. She has, like, right there. And there's droplets of happy sap on them as well. It's insane. Absolutely. They look like little diamonds when they reflect the light right at the tip of her petals. It's amazing. Right, so now I've got that comment. Then I saw Robert and Robert and Robert. And for some reason, there's a comment from Carmen's Orchids. I am trying to show it. Yay, 5 Tenonias growing their spike, and you will do a shorts video for that, and I am going to be looking forward to that video, Carmen. And I'm trying to show that comment. And it says another moderator just handled this, so thank you, Robert, for doing that. So what I'm going to do is hide it. And another moderator said, it says, has just handled this. And that comment is holding everything back. If any, thank you very much, Robert. Now we're moving again. Okay, so now I've got comments bunched up. Let me show you what I'm seeing, because I'm like, this is bizarro. Look at that. How am I supposed to read this? I mean, I live in a hieroglyphic world anyway, but this is bizarre. Anyway, so I'm going to try and read this comment. So about my Phalaenopsis, I repotted it because flowers just spent, no new growth, but I've repotted it because it's new and now hates you. Okay. It probably hates you now and it probably may not survive. What you need to do is either, you have two choices. Put it into sphagnum moss in a very, very small pot. Or leave as is and soak every 2 or 3 days. Soak the pot all the way up to just below the pseudobulb and then drain it out again. Those are your two choices, because I don't think that I don't think that Miltoniopsis is going to make it, especially during this time of year, Carmen. Not because you will not be able to, let's say, soak or repot it, but because it's getting hot. All right? They don't like the heat. So a struggling Miltoniopsis that goes into rescue mode and loses its root system and then is in during the summer months, it doesn't look good. I hate to say it like that, but I prefer to be wrong as opposed to telling you what you can do and then say it's going to be fine and then it doesn't. I don't want you to feel that, okay? So pot it into sphagnum moss only in a very small pot, or leave it and soak the pot every 2 or 3 days and drain the pot, just so that there's a constant motion of humidity if you're going to leave it in its older pot. Yeah, I hope those emojis were because of what I just showed you, Fernanda. I am telling you, there's an emoji for this for me as well, and it's the one that goes cross-eyed. I am looking forward to the live stream on Friday. Trust me, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also kind of dreading it. And I don't think I need to explain why. Because one thing is me fumbling around here like some buffoon, the boomer tech that I am, on my own. And the other thing is having somebody on the other side who is a guest, and then something goes wrong. It's going to, oh. So we have another Tuesday, Wednesday, counting the days. And on the day like today, I'm counting the hours. Oh my goodness. Anywho, so let me see if there's any more questions. That's crazy. Let me check and see if everything is okay up here. Because, you guys, 16 likes. Thank you so much. That's so cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot. Anyway, if there are no further questions at this point in time, except for, I see a message on Carmen. My Nelly Isla is good. Come back. There you are. My Nelly, okay, it's on moss now. Yeah, you might need a fan, but careful that you don't dehydrate the leaves with the fan. Be very careful about dehydration through the leaves, okay? If you don't have the right humidity, you need extremely high humidity if you're going to be using a fan during this kind of weather. The humidity will cool the leaves down. Putting a fan on them with warm air, etc., that's not going to cool the orchid down, and it's not going to stop the transmission. Transmission. That's my brain, is stopping transmission. My Nelly Isla is good. No yellowing, but no growth. I can't see his root system yet. I don't know if there's new roots. You will get new roots with the Nelly Isla when you see a new growth. Okay, not before. It may be a branching root system. I have never grown a Nelly Isla because she is a cool grower as well. She doesn't like hot temperatures. If you have a very bright bathroom that faces, let's say, north, that has good light this time of year, but is extremely cool, that is where you want your Miltoniopsis and your Nelly Isla to live during the warmest months of the year up until the end of September. Okay, Tere, if you have any questions, ask away under any other video, comment, etc. if you have any questions about that, or check the playlist that I have for everything Semihydro. Also, my Phalaenopsis lookbook has more, let's say, detailed, lengthy, where I go step by step and, have the 5 key elements that made me finally realize how to get them to grow in Leca, because it took me several years and several mistakes until I managed to get that. You have 70, that is a great humidity margin. That's great. The temperatures need to not be over 20 degrees Celsius, ideally during the day. I know that's a lot to ask this time of year, but if you want to, if there's anything that I can advise, is to get these orchids as cool as possible, short of putting them into the fridge. Don't. That's a joke. But it's really, they need to be cool. So I'm hoping that we are getting there, because now I'm standing up. I wish I could sit down and chat with you, but this botched up chat is on an Apple device, whereas I'm trying to read the chat now from the screen of the app from whence we are streaming. Because I am not seeing any of this. So we've got that and that. Alrighty. Tere, I hope everything is okay. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Everybody. Yeah, yeah. And you know the rest, maybe. Okay. I'm going to call it, and thank you all once again. 17 likes, woohoo! Cartwheels around the patio. I'm going to pull a muscle. Thank you. Have yourself a fabulous rest of your Sunday. If you're starting the day, if you're ending your day, either way, have a great rest of your Sunday. I thank you so much for being here. There's one condition, though, I always add to those good days, right? Have a great rest of your day, but make sure that you stay safe. Take care. Bye.